Alright, guys. So we are continuing on the 4 mile run. Currently 12:44 a.m. Eastern Time Zone. I guess people look at you strangely when you're running at 1 in the morning. But you know what? I guess you gotta mind your own business. Thank you for the like, whoever's watching. It's like there's one car on the road. They gotta be looking all weird here. But that's okay. Because you know what? It's a testament to the reality of this lifestyle. And the reality is, if you're doing different things, you're gonna get. And if you're doing different things, that's just the reality. Damn, these people are watching. Okay, I was ready to jump out of the road if I needed to. Which, to be fair, you're not expecting the guy to be running at 1 in the morning, but still. It's not necessarily the best thing to be doing, but it's the way my day turned out. I'm gonna finish these miles either way. Let me know where you guys are tuning in from. We got probably like a mile and a half left. So let me know where you're at. And you know what, dude? At the end of the day, try not to think too much. I just keep doing. You'll inevitably be thinking while you do anyways. I mean, me right now, I'm running. So I'm doing stuff off of my task list, right? But it gives me a lot of time to think. So I might as well think while I'm running than wasting time at home when I should be doing something else. How do I run without Mr. Possessive? How do I run without music? Dude, I just listen to my thoughts. Like I said yesterday, sometimes I'm in such like a good mind state where I want to be at, and I'm like flowing so hard. The last thing I want is someone else's lyrics or vibes in a song to change how I'm feeling. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, dude, let me just keep flowing on this mind state and take it to an even deeper level and just listen. And it's nice, man. And the thing is, yeah, I just haven't been listening to music much lately. I mean, sometimes I listen to podcasts, but even then, it's like it's steering my thoughts in a direction. Sometimes I don't need to learn anything else. And I'm like, dude, let me just listen to the outside world. You know what I'm saying? That's right. You enjoy your thoughts. I'm glad you're training hard. Thank you, brother. I appreciate it. Thank you. Figured I'd go live because you know what? Why not? I just want to stay as active as possible on here. And yeah, man, it's late at night. We're getting these miles in, and it's just a lot of the times it's gonna be boring, you know. And I was talking about that in the last stream, like just finding solace in those boring, grinding moments. Like something is just, it's almost addictive at this point. Like I've gotten to the point where like I know what I need to do, and I know that I need to get back to these moments where I'm just plugging away. Like a lot of times, that's the work that's required, and it's just like something so beautiful about just being stuck in a long run, like where you can barely even see the end, and you just keep going. And we talked about that yesterday, where it's like patience. A lot of times people don't like patience because it's like in their head they're thinking, like, I don't want to be patient, I just want to be done. But patience is really just taking your mind to a different place, but in the meantime, thinking about something else. Next thing you know, you pick your head up above the water and you're fucking there. Nighttime is a great time to train and do anything really. Definitely a night owl. Yeah, I feel that, man. Same here. And, well, I try not to be. I really would rather be like a morning person. I really would rather, like, you know, wind down with the sun, wake up with the sun. I feel like that's the most natural thing to do. I feel the best that way. But it's like a lot of times the way things play out is different. And then in the end, it's like I end up staying up as long as I get the 8 hours in. That's my main focus. I feel like patience is something you have to grow into. Once you've got it, you'll wonder how you ever lived without it. Exactly, dude. Exactly. And it's crazy because like the more in a rush you are, the more you half-ass things, and then the more half-ass you do on things, everything's done at a lower quality. And then when you do it at a lower quality, you didn't reach the objective that you were going for, you know? So then you got to do it again. So it's almost like the impatience makes you have to take a longer route, anyways, in a lot of sense. So it's like the way my brother put it was, you know, when I first started running, I really wanted to just go run a marathon just to get it done and say I did a marathon. But the way he put it was like, dude, you only get one first marathon, you know? You might as well enjoy the entire process. So instead of doing it at the end of last year, I put almost an entire year in between, an entire extra year of training. Not only so I can get a better time, not only so I can get a better time, but also because you only get one first marathon. So it's like, dude, I remember for my 15K, I was looking forward to that moment for months because I was training. My training plan led up to it. Almost every day I was thinking about that race. And it's like the race day came. I remember being so fucking tired. I had an average of 189 heart rate for those 9 miles. And I remember being so tired but so thankful during that race. Like, dude, I finally made it. Like, this is what I trained for. I've been here. I've been in this depth before. This depth of like me being tired, and it's like, dude, this is what I came for, you know? I fucking love that shit. But it had me looking back, and it's like, dude, when I look back on that journey to that race, my favorite moments were like, I mean, the race was only one day, but there were so many moments leading up to it. Training with friends, going to the track, doing the long runs, the boring runs, like so many dark nights, happy days, all leading into that race, and that was the fun part. So I might as well extend that as long as possible. You know what I'm saying? And once you can become addicted to that journey, that's when it really starts to get fun. You want this experience to be the absolute best you can make it. The sense of pride and accomplishment is going to be insane. Facts, dude. Facts. I'm fucking excited, dude. I'm still like 6 months out. And it's like, I just want to enjoy every fucking moment. Sorry I'm swearing so much, but shit gets me amped up, dude. Every time I get out here and train, just grateful, man. Just grateful for the opportunity. Grateful that this is possible. And it's just like, dude, I'm ready to carry this same motivation into other parts too. In my journey on YouTube, you know, everything, dude. It's just exciting. I have the mouth of a sailor too, don't worry. Okay. Yeah, normally I swear a lot. I just heard it might throttle your views on YouTube if you have a lot of like vulgarity. But at this point, fuck it. Because we're here. And you know what, dude? I fucking love this shit. And it's crazy, like, it's crazy how like 10 years ago, I would have never even thought to enjoy running. But really changed me. I feel like it matters more in the recorded content than the streams. Yeah, that's probably true. I'm not sure. Although sometimes I do swear to such an enormous degree that it actually takes away a lot of power from my swear words. Because I feel like if you drop a swear word, like every now and then, that shit really lands. But if I'm saying fuck all the time, like it was to the point where I was saying fuck instead of I'd be like fucking instead of you know, and really lost a lot of weight to my swear words. And yeah, but dude, I'm so excited for this marathon. I'm excited to document it, and even more so, I'm excited to like live this life not just in the running sense, not just in training, but in every area of my life. Because once you can want this and you can enjoy it, and you can just accept the work gracefully, it's not a grind anymore, dude. Instead of grinding, it becomes gliding. And that's what I try to tell people, at least like around me. It's like, if you're grinding, you're doing it wrong, right? It should feel like a glide. And when it feels like a glide, that's when you start getting those exponentially bigger results. Because you're like, dude, you start to love this shit. And because you love it, you want to do it often. And you're passionate about it. And once you're doing it often, that's when the results come. And then the results drive you to go do it even more. I'm sure it's the same with your gains when you're in the gym. Once you started to see those results, once you started to see the six pack, boom, now you're in. Now it's not, can I get to the gym? It's how can I stay out of the gym? You know what I'm saying? Like, when you love it that much. It's crazy to me. There's people who don't enjoy training. I look forward to it all day until I can finally get to it. Yeah, dude. Exactly. And it's it is crazy, but it's like I understand where they're at. It's always the same with other things, you know. For me, even now, I still struggle with like cleaning, and like that's something I never really wanted as much. Like I do training. A lot of people keep a super clean home, and they go to other people's homes and they see a mess, and they're like, I don't understand how you could live like this, you know. In the same way that we say, how could you not train? It's so amazing. But I've come to learn that people, people's problems manifest in different ways. I saw a video of this lady. She didn't brush her hair for like 6 years, and her entire hair turned into like one big dreadlock. And that's what she was talking about. She was like, other people have problems that manifest in other ways, and you might not be able to see it. It's just unfortunate that my problem manifested in my hair, and you can see it. The same thing with people that are overweight. Their problem manifests in overeating. The same people who are unclean or hoarders, that's how their problem manifests. And you have people that have spending problems, and their problems might manifest in large amounts of debt. So, you know, people have issues. All we can do is just try to tackle them and then just keep living by example. You know what I'm saying? Instead of, yeah, that's it. Just live by example, you know? As long as the mess isn't actual garbage and gross food, it's okay. My apartment can tend to get cluttered too. And I think of myself as a clean guy. Yeah, I'd say so. I'd say so. That's, yeah, garbage and like food and dirt and stuff like that, especially in the bathroom. I mean, that can get a little dicey. And like you said, that stuff just gets nasty. But even the clutter, like I watched a video, like they showed it was on Instagram, this lady had a split screen. It was like the difference between like 5 seconds and 25 seconds. And she showed how it was when she was putting stuff away or leaving a clutter. Like she would, on the left side of the screen, it'd be like brushing her teeth and then just putting the toothbrush down on the counter and leaving. And then on the right screen, it was like 10 more seconds. She brushed her teeth, put her brush in the holder, put the toothpicks away, you know? And I talked about that in another video. The biggest key that I learned with keeping a clean place and like not feeling behind is resetting everything to zero. And what I mean by that is resetting to zero is like no matter what you use, put it away, reset the space that you're using to be ready to be used again the next time you want to use it, right? Whether it's your desk, you have some papers out, something like that, file the papers away, put the pens back, get everything ready to use the next time you want to use it. And if we can do that with every space that we're in, things just stay clean as far as clutter goes. And then all we need to do is, you know, the repeated cleaning of like countertops, mopping, vacuuming, stuff like that. But at least the clutter can be put away. And I've noticed that you pretty much always feel behind. If there's clutter out and you need something that you need to do, you have something that you need to do, but the first thing you have to do is clean up just to get started. It's a horrible feeling, and it keeps a lot of people from even getting started. That's the way to be. Keeping a clean space will keep a clean mind, and then you'll feel more productive and motivated. Exactly. And even when you do get to that motivated level, you can just start, dude. If your space is ready to go, everything's ready, your desk is ready, it's clean, you got clothes that are clean, everything's ready to go. As soon as you get an idea and you want to run with it, boom, you're off to the races. You're not playing catch up by cleaning and getting ready, because that'll kill a lot of energy. By the time you play catch up, you feel like you got so much done, when really you just got back up to zero. You didn't even make progress. So I think it's crucial to just reset to zero. And really, I've learned that it's way less work in the end. For example, if you have dishes that you use on a consistent basis, right? Let's just say you eat your food and you just put the dish in the sink and the food's still on it, right? And then you do that again and you keep piling up these dishes. Next thing you know, you're like, okay, it's time to do dishes. But it takes 5 times as long because the food is stuck on the plate. Whereas if you just wash the plate off right after you used it, let it sit in the dishwasher until that was full, and you do a load, you end up working less. Even though in the short term, it feels like you're doing more work. And just reminds me of this quote I heard once that was like, dumb people create problems, smart people fix problems, and geniuses prevent problems. And it's like, the more we can get used to just doing that up front, little bit of work or uncomfort and dealing with that, sooner we can just do that. It gives us that investment towards the future and sets ourselves up for success later on, and it compounds. If we can do that in every area of our life, dude, the effects are like unreal. It's kind of like making your bed. A lot of people think it's pointless, but starting your day with a clean room is crucial. Yes, exactly. And my mom is the one that encouraged me so much to make my bed, because it's not even just making the bed. Of course, you can just leave it unmade and you can get back in it in the next day and you're going to be able to sleep just fine. That's not the point. The point is, not only do you start a day off with a clean room, looking like a fucking hotel room, shit's made, but you start your day off with a win. And starting your day off with a win sets the whole day up for success. If you start your day off with a loss, it's very hard to recover from that. And most of the time, even if you go through the rest of the day winning, the whole day still feels like a loss because you started with a loss, so you feel like you didn't hit that perfect streak. And we were wondering where you were in the last stream yesterday. I love that quote. Geniuses prevent problems. Yeah, dude. It's like I try to always remember, because there's people that are very smart, but then they let their impulses get a hold of them, and impulsively, normally you kind of just want to take the laziest route. That's just kind of like how humans are. But if you can just do the little bit extra necessary to set your future self up for success, dude, works wonders. Works wonders. And a lot of times, dude, it's literally just a decision. For example, you got that toxic relationship. You know you shouldn't be engaging with that person. You know, they know, everyone knows you shouldn't be doing it. Now, a smart person might do it and then say, you know what, I got what I wanted. Let me get out of this. And then you clean up the mess. A couple months went by. You had fun. And you know what? That is what it is. But the genius would say, you know what? I see the red flags. Let me not let curiosity take me down this path. And let me just nip it in the bud now and say, you know what? I'd rather not go out with you. Have a nice life. And literally, you just saved yourself 2 months of headache. Not even just 2 months of headache, but you have recovery from that. You're probably never going to forget that person. And that's just one example. Many times, a split second decision can be the difference between like a huge amount of headache or just not dealing with it at all. Why are you running? I'm just getting some miles in. I needed to do 4 miles today. I was a little late to it. I'm about to be done right now. But yeah, still getting the work in. I was telling Mr. Possessive. Well, I don't know if he was in the stream at the time, but it's just about being consistent. A lot of times we need to just get to the decisions as fast as possible and do less thinking and just execute, you know. I mean, this training plan, I made the training plan within one night, and the next 6 months are just going to be executing on it. No more thinking, maybe correcting course along the way, but that's it. Okay, I'm done now. But yeah, dude. And it's like, yeah, I could have taken the day off because I went out and did some social things. I went out and ate. I ate some dinner at a restaurant. I very easily could have been like, you know what, let me just take the day off and relax. But you do that enough consistently, and by the time I get to race day, I only did 70% of my training. I might get 70% of the time that I wanted. And then, like, who's to blame? You know? Bro, be safe out there because the place you're at. Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, that's what people tell me. I mean, I feel, yeah, a lot of people say that. Maybe I'm just delusional about this area. I feel relatively safe. Definitely don't want to jinx it, you know? Knock on wood. But yeah, I feel relatively safe at night. And I don't know. Maybe yeah, I really don't try to do this on a regular basis, but we ended up here tonight and we got it done. A little over 4 miles, slow pace, 4.22 miles logged, done for the day. Every day you take a day off is another day you're set back. Of course, rest days are important, but you can't be lazy with yourself, which you're obviously not. Yeah, appreciate that, man. Exactly. Every day off is just one day further from like reaching your goals. And the off days themselves, it's like if you do that on a planned off day and you got your work done for that week, the off day feels like part of the work, you know? It's like recovery days, like this was needed, but also like I did the work to get here, so like this is the reward versus like 2, 3 recovery days in a row. And it's like, okay, now this isn't even recovery. This is just me not wanting to get back to work, you know? But yeah, dude, I'm fucking pumped. Fucking pumped. Appreciate you guys for like checking out the stream, dude. Unfortunately, um, a lot of the World Cup games are coming to an end, and that was fun to stream those. but I will keep streaming either way. Once your body's ready to work, you gotta get back to it. Exactly, dude. Exactly. And it's like if you do the work properly, then those recovery days they just hit perfect, you know? If you especially with a diet, like as soon as you can hit the right diet after the workout and like the recovery is so nice, man. You know how it is. You know how it is. It's amazing. And it just feels, dude, like you said, I don't know how people don't do this shit because it feels like a high when it within itself, you know? That's why like I don't take intoxicants, no alcohol, nothing. Not even caffeine. Because what's the point? We're high on life out here, you know? Feeling great. It's heaven, exactly, dude. And now I'm lit up. I'm gonna, you know, get my recovery meal in, chill out. Got my hard run tomorrow. Tomorrow's like 7 mile run, I think. 4 miles tempo. So that's gonna be fun. I'm really looking forward to that. It's gonna be like a mile and a half warm up, mile and a half cool down. 4 miles like pretty hard pace. And that's gonna be fun, dude. So we'll see how that goes. Everyone wonders why they're so depressed, and it's because they don't treat themselves with love and care. Dude, yeah. They don't treat their body like a temple, you know? And it's like all the cells, all the cells of your body are made up from the fuel that you're putting in it, you know? And it's just like it really affects your thoughts, like you said. But at the same time, um, what I've learned about like motivation and like getting that feeling of motivation is it comes after the work. What's up, Ame? What's up, bro? Good to see you. Welcome back. The motivation comes after the work, and that's the most that took me a long time to understand, and it's hard to get across that point to other people. Is that like most of the time the motivation comes after the work. Like when I started running for social reasons. And then next thing you know, I did it relatively consistently, and then I was like, I want to get better at this thing. And that's when the motivation came, you know? Or in the gym, if you first are starting as a noob and like you haven't really worked out ever, you're not gonna see results until like at least a month in probably. But then once you start to see those results, that's when the motivation hits. And you're like, okay, now I want to keep going. So the hard part for a lot of people is like getting started without the motivation. And I've just drilled into my head at this point that feelings do not matter as far as like the task list. Like there's gonna be days where you're pumped up, happy, and then days where you're sad, days where you're angry. It doesn't matter as like the work still needs to get done on those days. And whoever can stay the most consistent throughout those ups and downs, those are the people that win. And it keeps you regulated. It keeps you from going too hard in the up or too hard in the down. You know what I'm saying? And I heard this is gonna sound a little weird, but I heard it in an interview from Drake, and he was like, "Don't get too invested in the highs and the lows," and that keeps you consistent. Because you get too invested in those things, maybe you have a high and you're going hard for a week. Now you went too hard and you sink into a low, and then you don't feel as high as you did the last week. So then you crash, and then when you crash, you don't stay consistent, and it's like waves like that. And then eventually, your trajectory just stays kind of stagnant. Whereas the person that stayed consistent every day is just compounding up. You just have to get addicted to that cycle. It's a high that won't hurt you when you chase it. Exactly, dude. Exactly. And once you enjoy it, like I said earlier, it's not even a grind. You're just gliding. It's like, dude, the stuff just, what's next? You know what I'm saying? What's next? And then you're resting hard at the same time because you're treating your body well. So it's like when you're getting that good recovery, now you can handle these things. Then the more in shape you get, your body can literally physically handle stress better. Like, for example, if your stress response in your body is like, let's just say, for example, at 100 heart rate, that's when your body goes, okay, we're in stress mode. If you're doing cardio and you're getting your work in, that same amount of stress might only raise your heart rate up to like 75, 80 maybe, you know? So then within your body, it's like, okay, we're still not at stressed level. We're not at panic mode, you know what I'm saying? So literally physically, even in your body, you're more able to withstand stress. Yeah, welcome, Ame. Dude, it's sucked to see Portugal lose, man. Sucked to see Portugal lose. Eventually the work will be the constant good in your life, no matter what's wrong. Working on yourself won't betray you. Yep, exactly. Exactly, dude. You couldn't put it any better. Eventually the work will be a constant good in your life. Yeah, man. And it keeps you stable. And even for the people that are around you, you know, if you can be stable, then you can support them in the best way possible. It's a win-win, you know. It's the best for you, it's best for people around you. And that's it, dude. That's it. We just keep doing that, and the trajectory is gonna going up. Keep going up. It may be slow. We may take dips from here and there. Things may happen, God forbid, but we're going in the right direction, you know? Stress response and fitness really do go hand in hand. I couldn't handle my schedule and the stressors of like as easily if I wasn't prioritizing my fitness. Like you said, it's all about regulation. Dude, exactly. Exactly. You know you hit the nail on the head. And that's what I try to tell people because like they're like, no, I'm working a lot. I'm already stressed out. I don't want to go to the gym after work. And I'm trying to tell them like the gym will cause your work to bring you less stress. Like you'll be able to handle that work much more easily because you can handle the workload, you know? So now that same amount of work that was stressing you out before might not stress you out as much, or it might not even stress you out at all once you get in shape. So it's like, and that's why a lot of people say like working out actually gives them more energy because it's, I mean, you know, on a short-term sense, physically, it's like, okay, you're draining your energy by working out, but in the end, your body's becoming more efficient, your heart rate is lowering, and you can handle these stressors at a much easier level. So then you can take on more load later on. The gym is stress relief and stress management at the same time. It's total positive for even the busiest people. Exactly, dude. Exactly. And it's one of the pillars. It's one of the pillars. No matter, dude, there's no point in your life. I don't care who you are. Jeff Bezos or a dude working at a McDonald's, right? Every single person has major pillars that need to be handled no matter what. Sleep, diet, exercise. Those are the top three. For me, I add a fourth, which is cleanliness. That's just me. Cleanliness. And you can add organization in with cleanliness. Of course, it's not going to be like the top three. If you handle the top three, sleep, diet, and exercise, most other things handle themselves. But for me, I add that fourth piece, which is cleanliness and organization. Cleanliness is definitely a pillar for me too. Exactly. Yeah, I mean, you know how it is, dude. You know how it is. Because we could sleep well, we could work out well, we can eat well, but our environment is just as important. And you know how it is having that clean place. Like, dude, it's money, man. It's money. it's good to be able to find people like, dude, that's why I love with this live stream, man. It's good to be able to find people um that are on that wavelength. Because it's like you go out in the real world, or I mean I say real world as if this isn't real, but you go out in the world and dude, you see all types of people. All types of people. I mean, even in like the fitness areas, you go to, the gym. I go to Planet Fitness. Maybe I can go to a more hardcore gym and find these people, but like even in there, it's hard to find people that are like really, really getting after it and dialed in. Connecting is so crucial. Yeah, and I'm just one of those people that like I feel way more regulated when I have I think we talked about this in the other stream. I feel way more regulated when I have like my group around me, my people that are close to me. And it feels very lonely if you're the one person doing something that all the people around you aren't doing. You're inevitably going to feel lonely. Even if you can talk to them, even if you can, vent to them, it's just not being able to relate is makes you feel lonely. So this is pretty cool that, through the internet, we're able to find these connections. It's pretty cool. Regardless of the tier gym you go to, there's people who'll be there for the right reasons and there's people there for the wrong reasons. You have to cultivate your circle of good people. Yeah, exactly, dude. Like you said, cultivate the circle. Like, um, dude, and it's about having the boundaries. I noticed. Like saying no to most things. Like as soon as you know it doesn't fit what you're looking for, it's like just put it at a no instead of like trying to be kind and like give it give it a chance. Usually, it's better to just give it the no and move on. Dude, we are just dialed in today, dude. Thank you, bro. Thanks for coming in here. You're a real one. You're a real one. Thanks for coming in here, chatting it up, man. Boundaries are so hard, especially if you're a people pleaser, but it's better for everyone in the long run. Dude, yes, dude. And it's so hard for the people pleasers because the the core of being a people pleaser, or what other people call a doormat or a doorknob, if you will, the core of that is wanting is it's fear. It's fear of losing control. Okay. They want to be in control of how the other person views them because they don't want to lose that person. So, through that fear of losing them, they try to stay in control of how they view them. And the way they stay in control of how they view them is to do nice things for them. Because up front, in the short term, doing those nice things is going to get a good reaction. So, it like causes them to want to do even more nice things and more nice things. But then eventually, the person that is on the receiving end of that starts to lose respect because inevitably, if they can tell you to do anything or ask you to do anything and you're going to go do it, subconsciously they're just going to lose respect because they're going to see you as someone that doesn't have a boundary or doesn't have a line that is drawn. And it all comes from that fear of loss. As soon as we can accept like change is inevitable and I am willing to lose this person out of my life if they don't fit within my frame that like I am willing to accept, that's when it changes. That's when the respect comes. You know what I'm saying? And it can be very hard. It's much easier said than done. For example, like if you've been in a long relationship for 3, 4 years, and then all of a sudden they start doing something out of whack that doesn't align with your boundaries, you got to be ready to cut them off. You know, as soon as you put up with it, okay, now they know you're going to put up with it. They're going to test and go even further. They're going to do more and more, and they're going to know, okay, he's always going to be here no matter what. Dude's always going to be here. Lose respect, and it's a nasty path. Got to be ready to rip the band-aid at any time. It's not easy, but it's crucial. Always a pleasure, man. Thank you for creating the space. Of course, dude. Of course. Appreciate that. That's so true. You worry too much about perception to the point you're basically buying their loyalty with the sacrifice of yourself. Exactly, dude. Exactly. I couldn't say it any better. And it works in the short term. That's the hardest part about like people that are people that become doormats or like people pleasers is that in like um what do you call it? The beginning stages of a relationship, not even like a romantic relationship, but in the beginning stages of like meeting someone, that usually tends to pay off being nice to them, which is okay, you know? You're not in people pleaser mode at that point. The people pleaser mode is when a boundary starts to get crossed. That's when a lot of people pleasers don't like the confrontation. They don't like the little bit of uncomfort or like awkward feeling of laying down that boundary, and they allow it to happen, and then they continue to be a nice person, and that's where the problems start to occur, you know? So it's okay to be nice up front, like, we wanna be kind, especially to good people, but as soon as that boundary gets crossed, it needs to be, like, cut off right there. Frame needs to be set right there, or even before that and say, "Look, this is what you just did was not okay. I'm just letting you know I won't be putting up with it. Deal with that how you will. If it's gonna continue, I'm gonna go this way." Just wanted to make that known. Doesn't have to be said like that, it can be said in your own way, but that's the you think you're doing well because you have all these people around you, but if they wouldn't stick around when you put your foot down, it's not worth it. You have to evaluate every situation. Yeah, I like we put that. If they wouldn't stick around when you put your foot down, and even then that could be a good test, you know. Not that you should be testing people, but if you're gonna say, "Hey, I don't appreciate being treated this way. I need you to treat me this way," and then they leave, dude, you don't want them around anyways, you know? Better to get them gone as soon as possible than dealing with them for too long and then building that resentment over time. And that's why you see people going through this, they'll just blow up randomly because they allow things to happen, they put up with it, and then the resentment just builds and it keeps building and it keeps building. And then next thing you know, they're just crabby to be around. Then the other person, that their counterpart, is building resentment, building resentment. Now they both just dislike each other, and the process should have just been nipped in the bud in the first place, you know? Yeah, man, it took because I used to be in that boat. I used to be in that boat of people pleaser. It took me a long time to get to the point to where I was okay with putting down boundaries. And I think the reason it took so long is because I didn't fully understand it. I was just, I was just living impulsively. Like I was just doing the people pleasing without even understanding why I was doing it or like what was going on. Once I was aware of what was happening and that I was like trying to stay in control of like how they viewed me, dude, it woke me up. Woke me up. I've had friendships last for 15 years and I've had friendships fall apart in a week. People are so hidden and that can be really good or really bad. LOL. Yeah, yeah, and it comes down to looking at the actions instead of their words. That is the biggest thing for me. Like looking at someone's actions versus their words. And that's why we have things like a credit score, you know? When the actions are hard to fake. You can tell by someone that has good habits. And usually if they have good habits, it means something is firing correctly in their head or in their life. and then you can tend to make a better bet on that person. Like this probably should lead towards a better friendship because they have good habits and you can't fake those. You can fake words anytime. I can go out right now and tell someone, yeah, dude, I make $1 million a week. And, I could go rent a fucking Lamborghini and say, I make $1 million a week. I'm a banker, whatever. They could believe me. But they watch my habits over a while. They're going to see, okay, this dude's a liar. You know what I'm saying? So the habits are the tell all. I've only recently come out of the people pleasing boat myself within the last year or two, which is sad to admit, but at least we're beyond it now. Yeah, yeah, dude. I mean, can't beat yourself up for the past, Even that within itself can be an addiction. Like self-pity, beating yourself up. Like all at the end of the day, you know what you know now, and it's just move forward. I look at it as like chapters in my life. Like I used to dwell on stuff in the past, but then I just made up my mind. I said, you know what? That was chapter one. I'm in chapter two now, you know? And just that mind frame really helped me change it. Just like not dwell on it anymore. Like, yeah, I wasted a lot of time, but sometimes we got to learn the hard way. And we just got to be grateful that we did learn instead of just continuing to be in that, you know? I meant to say people are different, not hidden, but I think you got it. Oh, yeah. Okay, I got you. Yeah. See you later, Emma. Appreciate you coming in, man. Appreciate you. Good luck on the exam. Good luck. You got that shit. It's okay to be critical of yourself and to hold yourself to higher standards, but self-pity can be really toxic. Yes, dude. And especially for people like us that are like super dialed in, super like data focused. As soon as something like we don't do something up to par, it's very easy to beat ourselves up and feel like a failure, especially because the more stuff you track, the more chances there are that something's not going to get hit, a target. And we just have to constantly remind ourselves that, like, just because we didn't hit it today, just because we had a bad day, doesn't mean we're a failure. It's about consistency over time, right? If we did the right thing 90% of the time, we did pretty well. You know what I'm saying? So it's just about like long term, looking back on the last year, like, okay, I fell short here, but overall I did pretty well. Okay, we're moving in the right direction. But yeah, I know what you mean. It's very easy to get caught in that self-pity. And I learned that from a podcast I was listening to on YouTube. They started talking about that, dude, and it just hit me. And I was like, dude, it really is like an addiction, especially for people that are like hard on themselves and they take blame for everything. Because it's not necessarily like a bad thing to take blame for, most things, because it allows you to try to think of how you can always be better and make better decisions. But for people that are like that, it's very easy to become addicted to self-pity. It's almost like it brings you dopamine in a way. It's really weird. You want to be the best, and sometimes you almost feel like an example for those around you. It's also not great to put that on ourselves either. We can only do the best we can at any time. Sometimes. Yeah, exactly. That's all you can do is just do the best you can do. And sometimes, dude, the hardest part where the self-pity comes in is when you don't do the best you can do. When you take the bad route and you say, like, for example, tonight, I could have not done the run. And I could have said, you know what? Let me just do it tomorrow. Sometimes you're gonna mess up and do that. And that's where it's like, okay, you know what? Let me leave that in yesterday. I'm not gonna beat myself up for it. Let me just get after it today. And the sooner you can let it go, the better. You know this specifically. A lot of people that are cutting weight and dieting, they learn this the hard way. because if you're in a deficit, like let's just say you're in like a 200 calorie deficit every day, you do that for 2, 3 weeks straight, 200 calorie deficit. One day you fucking binge. You're like 3,000 calories over what you were supposed to eat. And then you try to make up for it over the next couple days, and it's just pure suffering. It's pure suffering because now you're at like 500, 600 calorie deficit for the next few days trying to make up for that binge. And it makes it even worse. Then it makes you even want to binge even more, and your stress is higher. So your body's holding on to fat. It makes the whole process horrible. It's better to just say, you know what, accept that I binged this day. I'm gonna put it in the past, start back to where I was, you know? Self-pity and comparison to others are definitely like, yeah, 100%. If you do your best 95% of the time, at least the other 5% or less deserves grace. Deserves grace. Yeah. Yeah, because I mean, no one's gonna be perfect, you know? Shout out to you if you are, but the cut is generally just the most brutal experience. Yeah, dude, and anyone who's been through that, like a genuine real cut to like, a low level body fat percentage, or like I used to cut for wrestling when I was a wrestler. I mean, that'll teach you a lot about yourself, you know. That'll show you who's the ones that are getting really getting after it versus, the casuals. Because yeah, it's brutal, dude. It's brutal. Check something real quick. I love wrestling. I've been into boxing for fitness for quite a while. Gotta say so trim though it's insane. Gotta say so trim though it's insane. I'm not sure what you meant by the last sentence, but yeah, boxing is like gotta stay so trim. Oh yeah, for sure. And especially, I wish I ran more when I was a wrestler. Like I'm running specifically for the fighting sports is like, dude, it's everything, dude. Getting your body more efficient in those higher heart rate zones, because you'll gas out in a fight or a wrestling match like so fast if your cardio is not up there. But boxing is the sweet science, man. No, boxing is it's a beautiful thing. I want to do some more boxing. I want to do some more boxing. As much as I love wrestling, Wre- wrestling is like one of my favorite sports, if not my favorite. Nothing more raw and authentic than just a mano y mano. You know what I'm saying? But boxing is just it's up there, and that's what I always loved about bodybuilding, running, wrestling. These sports, like, there's no faking it. There's no there's no hiding the truth. And everyone can be good at it. It's not like basketball where you got to be like, 6'5". It's like anyone can be good at it. The results show no matter who you are, and there's no hiding the truth. With wrestling, if you lose, it's on you, right? If you go play a team sport like football, you could suck that day and your team might win, and maybe you think you did well. Or you could play really well and your team might lose, you know? So it's a lot more there's a lot more that goes into it with the team sports. Not that there isn't a beautiful part about that as well, but there's way more that goes into it. There's politics with the coaches, with your teammates. It's just not as there's so much more to it. With these mano a mano sports like boxing, wrestling, or just sports that are just like see how well you can do, like bodybuilding, running, stuff like that. It's just I love that kind of shit because it's honest. You know, I used to play soccer a couple years ago. I kid you not, I went to these tryouts and I feel like okay, I may be gassing myself up, but I feel like as soon as I met the coach, he knew he wasn't gonna pick me. Like I could just feel his energy, like he just did not like me, and I felt like I don't know, maybe I was telling myself no in my head, but I was just like, dude, I know this guy's not picking me. Like I could just see it on his face, you know. And that was the unfortunate part because it's like in a race or something, whoever makes the qualifying time qualifies. Same thing in wrestling. You make it out the bracket, you're in. Same thing with boxing. You win enough fights, you're gonna move up. You know what I'm saying? Any sport that holds you responsible for yourself is the best mentally and physically. Yeah, definitely, dude. Facts. Facts. And I love team sports. Don't get me wrong. I really love soccer, but it just wasn't as pure. The politics were just it's not how I roll, man. It's not how I roll. A lot of these coaches have weird ulterior motives. Exactly, dude. Exactly. I was watching a video about especially US soccer in general. We have a big problem with that because even besides the weird ulterior motives, like the coach might want his son to play or something, there's the cost factor because we live in like, this super capitalistic, like business run, like type society, which, don't get me wrong. I mean, for the most part, I'm pretty free market myself. But you know, if you want to make it into these good leagues as a kid, it's going to cost you thousands of dollars to get on a travel team. If you don't have the money, you're not getting on that team. And a lot of these teams are the ones that are getting scouted for the colleges, for the semi-pro, for the pro teams. So then in the end, the top tier players aren't as top tier as what they could have been if the politics were a little less involved. Everything is so expensive here, which is why a lot of these pro athletes are from wealthy families. Exactly, dude. And if to get to that level requires that amount of wealth, that means the pool that we're choosing from is so small and it's hindering us on the top levels. There's no reason we have the population that we have with the resources that we have and we can't perform, especially in the World Cup or something like that. Imagine all the talent we miss out on because they're too broke to get in. Yeah, dude, it's amazing. It's amazing. Even for I mean, I played semi-pro soccer. Most players had to pay. Like you had to pay to play. Most players are going to work a 9 to 5 and they're coming to play. The best players that we had on the team were like D1 college players. They would just toss them a few $100 to come play for the season. You know, and this is like semi-pro, and it's just like, dude, how do you make it out like that? It's it's brutal. It's brutal. Not to mention the lack of like facilities that we have compared to other countries, which you like look for a good soccer field, you can probably find some, but leagues, teams, coaches, like you're gonna be paying a lot of money. Sounds like a really interesting experience. Yeah, dude. And keep in mind, I got into it thinking like, dude, I just want to play soccer. I want to get good at soccer and I want to like see where I can take this. But you start getting into like the nitty gritty. I mean, I've even heard of like top tier pros that like they'll get contracts just because their agent is like the same agent for some amazing player. Like let's just say like if like Messi has an agent, right? If I have the connection to get Messi's agent as my agent, dude, I could go make an MLS team tomorrow. Literally just because his agent is my agent. So you'll see like, you know, some of these random players is like you shouldn't even be playing on this team. But because you got that connection, like you're in. But when you look at other sports like running, for example, that doesn't exist. Either you ran the fast time or you didn't, you know? Bodybuilding, it doesn't exist. You get on stage, there's no my agent, I paid him a bunch of money, so I win this one. That's not how it works. Everyone can see for themselves. You know what I'm saying? Everyone can see the work, and that's what's cool about it. No faking it. Absolutely, it's all about who you know, which is good if you're the guy who knows someone, but it really messes over so many people, so many other people. Exactly, yeah. And it's like I try, you don't want to use that as an excuse sometimes because you're like, you know what, if I just continue working and I just let the results speak for themselves and I just show my skill level, eventually I'll get through. And that is true for the top tier dudes. Sometimes they're really poor, but they're just so damn good that like you can't deny them. Put them on a team. You know what I'm saying? And they will get through. But then there's that chunk that's like top 20%, but not good enough to really shine that hard, and they don't get through when they really should have, you know? Look at like Tom Brady. He was like, I don't know, he was like one of the lower draft picks in the NFL. Ended up, his trajectory was insane. But these top 20, top 25%, these are who we should be betting on versus, people who fit in the top 50, but these lower tier guys have a lot more money. So they're kind of just like pay to play up here, if that makes sense. And it really like it's so hard to find a fix because in the end, like these teams and these clubs, they're private. But the way I would run it, if I had like control over all of it, is like we're data driven, right? We're only data driven. I don't care about who your agent is. I don't care about how many years you've been playing. Show me the data, right? Show me your last season. I want to see your assists. I want to see your goals, whatever turnovers, whatever sport you're looking at, we're data driven here. And that would be the best way to bring out the best players, I think. And I was going somewhere with that, but definitely makes sense. Just sad and almost discouraging to watch. Yeah, it really is. It really is. And there's times where like you get an honest game and it's just like, okay, this is what this sport is about. I mean, even in the World Cup, some of these games, it's like, dude, that was, that was a good game. But then other times it's like, okay, what am I even watching here, But it's just life. But dude, I was going somewhere with that. Forgot what I was gonna say. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know, but it's like just unfortunate, man. Just unfortunate. But look, if you ever watched the money or the movie Moneyball, I think it's called. I think with Brad Pitt, that was like when um they had that one data analyst come in their team, and that was like when data started becoming used as like a major factor in the MLB, and it was like total game changer, right? It's like we're no longer going to make decisions off of feel. We're just going to use the data to show us which which players we should be investing in because they had a limited amount of money. So they said, you know what, we're going to find players who are undervalued but actually have a lot of data in this good data in this one specific skill set. Like maybe they're a crazy good batter, but like they're overweight, so they can't really run that well. So they're undervalued in the market as far as like, their cost to acquire that player. But we're gonna bet on them because we don't have that much money, but we know we can get them into shape and we can make them a top tier player. So that was a cool movie. And that's the type of stuff I would be doing if I owned a franchise or a club or something like that. And all these top tier teams do that nowadays, but in the end, the money can still get you through because, like, even to be in that pool of people that are chosen, it takes a lot of money to get there. Data really doesn't lie. Yeah, exactly, dude. It doesn't. Same thing with the gains. Same thing with times on the runs. It doesn't lie. I guess you are the administration guy. You'd be great with running it. Yeah. Yeah, if they let me have like some free reign and like actually just say what I need to say without playing the politics game, that's why I never really did well with the whole corporate thing, because it's like you gotta like kiss ass. But if you let me come in and just run my shit and like, look, I'm gonna tell you how it is. Like, look, that guy, I'm sorry, dude. He can't kick with his left foot, okay? I know he's got great hair. His agent is the same as Messi's. You know, I know he kisses your ass on the weekends, but dude, he can't kick with his left foot, okay? We gotta get rid of him. He's overpriced. Let's sell him. And let's use that money to pick up some better players. Can't even imagine corporate life. Yeah, dude. You know how it is. You're freelance, entrepreneur minded. Dude. Now, don't get me wrong. I could do it. I've come to understand why people choose a corporate life in the higher levels. Fuck working from the bottom up. If someone wants to hire me as like specific role and just handle that role, and I come in like not working my way up, I just come in and do that role to the best of my ability. I'd be down for that. No politics. Like you look at like a lot of these top tier CEOs, they built their own businesses, over many years. So they know how long it takes to build a big business, and it's a big payoff. But the amount of work and the amount of stress that comes with like everything being on your shoulders is a lot. They'd rather come in, take 20% of what they could be making, take a share of um, the company, whether it's like a stock holding or something like that, and just come in on a company that's already built and just kind of run it as if they built it, but it skips all those years of building, and it also skips the weight of everything being on your shoulders because you're not like the owner. You're just like the guy running it. So I understand why people would do corporate life in that sense. But corporate life in general, of what most people deal with, of like just kissing ass and like working their way up, fuck that. Fuck that. Corporate life is safe and stable, but it just doesn't seem worth it to enter in a normal way. I studied business for a while, but the traditional approach bored me. Dude, and it's not the way, dude. We talked about this the other day, like there's only one way out, and the salary is not it. A salary is not it for most people unless the salary is big enough. But for most people, the salary is not it, and hourly pay is not it. It's about getting to the point where like you run your own shit and you can manage your own time, and then you can buy other people's time with the money that you're making, and you can use that money to like expand. That's the way out. You know what I'm saying? So, these 40, 50K a year, 60K a year. Maybe they give you like a 1% match on the 401k. Okay, now you can go invest 10 grand a year in the S&P and get your 10%. You'll get a decent little retirement pension, but it's like, dude, you're working your whole life, you know? That's not the way out. Like, that's just not the way out. And we want to get to that point where like financial freedom is like it's a number at the end of the day, and retirement is a number, and the faster we can get to that number and like we can be free of the work. I'd rather do something that makes me happy and sustain myself with it than be paid more on paper yet be miserable. And And I feel you're very similar. Yeah, 100%. 100%, because then it's not really work, you know? Then it's not really work. It's the same thing we were talking about earlier with the grinding versus gliding, you know? If you're grinding, you're doing it wrong. Sounds to me like you're gliding, bro. So you're doing it right, you know? You're definitely doing it right. And then you're gonna make way more money too, especially with your work. I mean, you gotta perform at the end of the day. It doesn't matter if you're having a good day, bad day. People are coming in there and they see your product and they want, they're not gonna pay up unless they see what they want to see, you know what I'm saying? So the more you can enjoy it, the better you're gonna perform, the more money you're gonna make. And that's it, man. That's it, especially in that work. If you don't enjoy it, you might as well go home. Because that is not the place to be. That is not the place to be if you're not enjoying it. What are you gonna be, Mr. Sad Man on stage? You know what I'm saying? Unless that's your shtick, that might be kind of cool. The sad guy. Everyone come to the sad performance. I don't know. Gotta bring goods. Yep. You perform on here too, so you get it. Yeah, man. Yeah. No, I mean, definitely not as definitely not as difficult, I would say. I got 3 people in here right now. Shout out to you guys. But I can only imagine performing on stage in person in front of like hundreds of people, that sounds hard. So I gotta commend you for that. But yeah, man. Yeah, it's good. I'm glad you enjoy it. Definitely glad you enjoy it. Shout out to the other people that are in here. I'm not sure who you are, but you guys are some real ones. I appreciate that, man. I work hard and I do love it for the most part, but even on the off days we push through, it's a blessing at the end of the day. Yep. Yep, and that's it, man. That's it. It's a blessing. And if you feel like your work can be a blessing, then dude, that's where you want to be. 95% of people do not feel that way. 95% of people wake up and go, fuck, dude, I have to go to work. And that sucks. I was in that recently for almost 2 years. Every time I gotta go to work, I'm like, fuck, dude, I hate this place. That is not where you want to be, you know? And that's how it is for most people, unfortunately. Say hey to us, we don't bite hard. Where you guys at? Retail is its own type of hell. Dude, retail is the fucking worst, dude. I'd rather fucking clean up shit as a plumber, to be honest with you. Okay, maybe not that. That's horrible. But yeah, retail is horrible, dude. These people treat you like not even like a robot. They want you to act like a robot, but they treat you like garbage, dude. Absolute garbage. They're so entitled. And not all of them. Actually, 95% of people are pretty chill, just normal people. But that 5%, dude, it just ruins it. Plumbers apparently make good money. Same with trash guys. Really, I didn't know trash guys made good money. I know plumbers do. I just didn't know the trash guys do. But yeah, actually, for the most part, plumbing is like a lot of it you can do, with clean pipes in like new construction, just building out like new construction. That would not be bad. Um, or being an emergency plumber, I wouldn't mind doing that because they make bank. But you're still not out. You're still not out. But as long as you're running your own shit and you can eventually hire people, and that's the real goal at the end of the day. Building like a machine that runs itself so then we can have the freedom, you know? So then we can have the freedom, we can build good lives for other people. Man, that's the way out, man. That's the way I love business, and that's why, we were talking about capitalism earlier. I'm pretty down with business. Like, I love it, I love that we have the opportunity to do that here. Although there can be some downsides to it, like the fact that I mean, you can go out and be freelance and run your own shit. Dude, you can't do that everywhere, So that definitely is a blessing. You want business to work for you, but working for business can be brutal. Yeah, exactly. You couldn't say it any better. Yeah, dude. There's two ways to there's two ways to there's two sides to be on. And you know what I was thinking after we ended the stream, we were talking about living in an apartment and versus living in a house. And the one downside similarly to working for business that I don't like about living in an apartment is not building equity. In an apartment, you're building someone else's equity. There's someone that owns this apartment building, right? And every time I pay my rent, they pay their loan off at the bank and it builds their equity. And then eventually when they sell this property, all that money comes back to them. Whereas if they sell, I get nothing back. All my rent is gone. But if I had a house, every time I make that payment, it's going basically into my equity. And you know what dude, I had an epiphany. I had an epiphany a couple years ago. None of this is like, dude, the people at the bottom are getting screwed so hard. And this is the one thing I have against renting. Although there is a point to be made about like the freedom of having an apartment, being able to be around people, being able to get up and leave whenever you want, get into a new apartment, there is something to be said about that. There's real value there. But dude, the people that are the renters work the hardest. Let me put it this way, right? They print money at the top, right? They print the money. They give it to the banks, right? Okay. Then the banks have all this money and they want to loan it out to people because they make an interest rate on that loan. So then you have the developers or the real estate holders that go to the banks and they go get these loans to go buy more real estate, right? So the person that owns the apartment buildings is going to take a loan out, right, from the bank. Didn't do any work to get that money. They take all that money, they go buy an. My bad, yo, my bad. My phone ran out of charge. I don't know if you're still in here. Phone ran out of charge. I was too locked in. I was too locked in. Still here. All right. My point was, sorry about that. My point was, they print the money at the top, right? They give it to the banks. The banks did no work to get that money. Okay? The banks lend it out to the people that want to buy the real estate. Those people that want to buy the real estate did no work to get that money. They go buy the real estate. They rent it out to the renters. Let's just say they need to pay back their loan like 100K a month. They get the renters to pay 120K a month. It pays off their loan, builds their equity, and they're profiting 20K a month on that money that they didn't even work for. And the people at the bottom that are going to work 40 hours a week to pay their rent are working their ass off. And they're getting nothing in return. In the end, they're just throwing their money away into someone else's equity that did no work. And once I realized this, I was like, dude, I'm on the wrong side of this equation. I am completely on the wrong side of this equation. And that's why I was talking about, the other day. If I was going to get some real estate, it would be purely a financial play in the beginning. It would have to be a financial play. And really, a goal for me if I was gonna like have a long-term residence somewhere and want to live in an apartment, is potentially have like be an owner of an apartment building, like a complex, and live in one of the units. You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, we just want to get into that other side of the equation where like we're building equity on someone else's hard work, right? Instead of the other way around where it's like we're putting in all this hard work and getting nothing out of it. It's such a dude, it's insane. It's insane. Once I woke up to that, I was like, the way the housing in this country is set up is really sad. The landlords are taking so much advantage of us, but it's so hard to get out of. It really is hard to get out of. It really is. It could well because it takes a good amount of money to get like some type of property. You know what I'm saying? Whether it's a house or it takes some type of down payment. And the way these real estate companies work is like they'll invest super hard in such a small territory instead of buying like an apartment building in Atlanta, an apartment building in Manhattan, an apartment building in Houston. Instead of doing it like that, they'll concentrate all their resources in like one zip code and like buy up all those buildings. Because if you want to live in that zip code, now you have to pay their price. They basically set the price, right? It's like a small monopoly in a way. So if you look around in little areas, like I don't know where you're at, it's a little different in New York because the real estate is so sought after. But if you look in like suburban areas, within like a certain zip code, you'll see like the same real estate company will own a lot of the apartment buildings because they're just slowly buying up that territory to the point where now they can set the rate. If you want to live in this area, if you want to work in this area, you got to pay our rate. You know what I'm saying? It's a really smart play on their end, to be honest with you. And now houses and property here are so expensive. It's ridiculously expensive. Yeah, it really is, dude. And the gap is only widening. The gap is only widening, which is okay. You know, we're gonna get there. The way always try to look at it is like, you know what? It's expensive to some people, but it's also incredibly cheap to other people. And it's an income problem. You know what I'm saying? Instead of me dwelling on like, damn, this is too expensive, let me just use all that energy to just go get more income. How can I get more income? How can I bring more in? You know what I'm saying? How can I get to the point where this is no longer expensive anymore and it's actually very affordable? There's there's people there's people that, you know, you go past a nice yacht club and you're like, damn, that's an expensive yacht. You know, that's probably a couple $1 million. That is expensive. Like, how do people buy that? But then there's another guy that'll come by and be like, dude, that is a little puny yacht. I'll take 10 of those and I'll put them next to my giant yacht. You know what I'm saying? That's obviously an extreme example, but it's all about perspective and like it's all about income, you know? They try to regulate those practices with laws, but those laws aren't that great because look at who's benefiting from all of it. Yeah, yeah, dude. And 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 it won't happen because um, you know, the these laws are made by lawmakers that make a lot of money from lobbyists and lobbyists that don't want certain laws to go into effect, you know? So it's like it's a pay to play game, you know what I'm saying? All I've come to the conclusion is like, you know what? Let me just instead of like being mad at the game, let me just try to get on the right side of the equation. And that's all, you know, that's because I'm just one dude. You know what I'm saying? It's let me just try to get on the right side of the equation. And then whoever I'm dealing with, let me do right by them, you know, and lead by example in that way. If I do own an apartment building, let me make it affordable in the area that I'm at, and let me not gouge people, price gouge people. Let me give them a good rate. Let me make my money, but it's a win-win. You know what I'm saying? And that's the way I like to do transactions or business in general. It's like win-win business is like the type of business that I want to be in, you know? For example, you might go on stage, you enjoy it, you get paid, the crowd enjoys it, the venue enjoys it, win-win all around, right? That's good business. We don't want to be in the type of business where it's like win-lose, someone's a loser, you know, because that's not fun. They try to it's the downside of capitalism. We just have to play the game and do it well. Yep. And that's it, man. And that's it. And I guess it would be like kind of devil's advocate, but like once you get on that side of the equation, then it really things start coming in like, damn, this is nice. These investments are paying off. I'm starting to enjoy this side, you know? Unfortunately, I mean, it's the way it is, you know? Doesn't have to be that way forever, but it takes a lot to change it, and all we can do is well, I don't want to say that in a definitive way. Maybe I won't say all we can do, but what we can do right now is make the best move on the chessboard. You know what I'm saying? Win-win is great because that's how you keep positive professional relationships and keep it coming. If you burn people, sure you made a bag, but that's the only bag you're gonna get from that party. Yep, yep. And sometimes some of these businesses are like they're forced. Look at like insurance companies, stuff like that. It's forced on you. You know what I'm saying? It's like you gotta pay. They're gonna make a bag no matter what, but it's detrimental in the long run. So what we want to leave a good mark. I guess in the end, fulfillment really comes from like improving the world in some certain way and like making a good mark on it. And that's like real fulfillment. So the best thing we can do is just get in these win-win style of transactions, you know? That's the way I look at it. But yeah, man. Yeah, I had that epiphany a couple years ago and I was like, dude, I'm in the wrong boat. I was working hourly for a low wage, paying someone else's equity, right? And with a W-2, they take your taxes before you even get the money. There's no write-offs, there's nothing. Like, it was the worst, like, and I was just above a certain level of income to where I couldn't even get like handouts, you know? Not that I want any handouts, but I'm saying like that is the worst place to be in because you're just working your ass off and getting nowhere. And everyone is profiting off of you. The business owner that is paying you hourly is profiting off of you, and the real estate company that's taking your housing payment is profiting off of you. Leave the world better than you found it. Yeah, that's it, man. That's it. Lead by example. Leave the world better than we found it. We're just single people at the end of the day. You know what I'm saying? There's only so much you can do. But if everyone goes in with that mindset, dude, that's it, man. That's it. It'd be an awesome place if that's how it was. But yeah, dude, we got real in depth on this stream here. And half the time they won't work you enough to give you benefits. It's fucked. Yeah, yeah. Like my last job, they would literally like cut you off at 40 hours. Like if you went over, you got in trouble because they had to pay you overtime. It's insane, dude. It's insane. Like they want robots. And you know what? Let someone else do that job if they want to do it, but fuck that, dude. Fuck that shit. That is not the way to go. That's not the smart move. We need to like look at the whole board and pick the right decision. And it's like sometimes it takes more work up front, but if we can get into these positions where like we're making an income in the right way and we're doing it in a way that allows us to have freedom in the end, dude, that's the way to go. That's the way to go. We want to be able to control our own schedule, all that, all that. And it makes sense why older people are usually like the rich people because I think they go through these things throughout their life. And the older they just start to like have these boundaries where they're like, you know what, fuck that, I won't do that. And they do some other thing and they're like, nope, not gonna do that either. And then they finally kind of figure it out, like this is the way to go. So it kind of makes sense why around like, 40s and up, people started to really hit their stride in business. But yeah, man. But once you start to see all this stuff, it's like, dude, business is like running your own stuff. It doesn't even have to be like an actual business. It can be, you know, solopreneur, whatever. Like it can be like a one man team type thing. Whatever, whatever floats your boat, whatever gets you the income. Doesn't have to be an insane amount of income either. You know, it's not that far out of reach. We don't need 1 million a year, you know? It'd be nice, but shit, dude. We can enjoy life, get 50K a year. Psh, I'm in. That's so true. People just need to start waking up younger and reclaiming their power. Yeah, man. Yep. Crazy to see, but most people when you go out in the world, dude, they're just doing their own thing. I remember talking to my boss about stuff like this before I quit that retail job. Dude, he would just talk to me about the video games he was playing at night. Which don't get me wrong, I don't hate on it. I talk about fucking running like a nerd too. But yeah, man, everyone has their own hobbies. Do whatever you want. So I can't hate on anyone. But I know that for me, you know, I'm trying to get on the right side of the equation. That's it. You know, that's it. All I can do is worry about myself, and the people around me, until I'm at least at a level of finances to where I can actually go help someone else outside of that. Think you're already on the right side. Appreciate that, dude. Appreciate that. And that's why, like, dude, it's people think it's like, dude, it sounds so crazy because, like, when I tell people I want to be like content creator, um, it sounds like to them, they're like, oh, dude, yeah, okay, whatever. Like, you're taking the lazy route. Like, you're just like, I don't know how to describe it. You know what I mean? They almost look down on it like, okay, yeah, let's not take this guy seriously. But I've been through like I've ran my own business. I ran a window cleaning business. I've been through so many jobs to the point where like I have these things that I know that I want in my career, and I'm like, dude, this is something that I really would um would enjoy, and also it has like an upside that is like actually feasibly a good amount of money, you know? And it's not like I need that much money. You know what I'm saying? People say that, but they've never even tried. The mindset it takes is so unreal and it's hard. Yeah, yeah, exactly. And once, like, dude, it really is like it's just a great business model. Being able to just be a one man ship for the most part in the beginning, put out some content. It's like it works passively on the back end. It gets views. Um, and basically the way you get paid is like you either sell products, you you know, advertise for companies, or you sell your own products, you sell merchandise, whatever. It's pretty simple business model. If you're in the fitness game, you could sell supplements, whatever, whatever you want to like product or service you want to put out, but like It's basically like running a brand, but the brand is just your name, or your channel or whatever. But it's just, yeah, it's something I think I would enjoy. And also, nowadays, if you want to run a business anyways, you're going to be on social media anyways. So it's like anyone that says that social media is dumb, they're not running their own business. Because any big business you look at has to run social media. That's where the advertising goes down at. That's where, you get your clients. That's where you make your sales. It's just how it is. You have to have a brand, which most people don't have. You definitely do. Yeah, dude. Yeah. And like you got your brand, you're building it. It's the same thing. And it's something that it can't be replicated. It can't be replicated. If I go build a window cleaning business, right? Someone can build basically the exact same thing and price it at $1 less per window, and boom, I'm out of the market. I'm gone. But no one can recreate me, right? No one can recreate my content that I'm pushing out because like it's coming from my mind, it's coming from my heart, you know what I'm saying? And that's where it's like it's actually a really people talk about having a moat around your business, and like businesses that do well have a moat around them that like other people just can't cross and get into. And I think personal brand thing and like the content, like it's like having a moat, right? You're the only one that can put out that kind of content. The only person who can be you is you, and if you operate authentically and offer your view, that's the ticket. Yep, that's exactly what it is, dude. That's exactly what it is, and that's why like all these years of like working jobs, running business, all this shit has led me like it keeps leading me back to like, dude, you know, make money online, put out the content. It's gonna sound dumb to everyone until it works. You know what I'm saying? Even then, people are gonna hate, block it out, whatever, dude. I've come to this conclusion myself because it makes sense to me. It doesn't mean it's the only way. It doesn't even necessarily mean it's the right way yet until I go through it. But it's the conclusion I've landed on. But yeah, man, and it's similar for you. Similar for you. I'm sure you've probably done enough things to the point where you're like, you know what, I'm gonna run my own shit. I'm doing my own shit. At least you don't seem to get many trolls, which is a great start. Yeah, dude, you should. One of my first videos. Oh man, the trolling was insane, dude. That's why I stopped posting for like a year when I first started. Because people were like talking about my voice and shit in the video. I mean, like back then I was like younger too, and like it really just like it got to me. I was like, dude, I just don't enjoy this. Like every comment, no one's commenting about the content of my video. It's literally just about my voice. That was, yeah. So you definitely got to build some thick skin. Because there's times where like, dude, you could be having a totally normal comment section, but then randomly you might do something off, and you're on the stage, for everyone to see, and you know how that is. You know how that is being in the spotlight. You know what I'm saying? Maybe you trip and fall. Next thing you know, you're a meme. Gotta have a thick enough skin to laugh it off and keep going. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I'm definitely appreciative that I don't get any trolls. Hopefully, knock on wood again, the trolls stay away. But yeah, man, definitely have worked for other people. I've had all levels of agents and talent management. ultimately what works is just doing what I do, like only I can do it. No one else can sell it. Yep. Yep, no one else can do what you do, man. No one else can do what you do. There's nothing wrong with your voice. No, dude, yeah, I appreciate that. The thing was, I was living with someone else at the time, so I was like trying not to make too much noise, so I was like whispering almost. Um, yeah, so it was like all the comments were like, dude, why is this guy whispering? It was just, dude, it was horrible because I spent so much time. I spent like hours making this video, and no one even watched the video. They're just listening to me like, dude, it was horrible. It was horrible. But you know, you live and you learn. But yeah, man. Yeah. I'm glad you didn't let it stop you forever. Yeah, I appreciate that, dude. It did for a while. Like I took like a year off after that. I just like didn't even upload. Not even proud of it, you know? Because now I wouldn't give a shit, you know? If I really think it's like a disrespectful comment, I'll just delete it. I'm not even putting up with that, you know? But yeah, at the time I took like a year off and then I came back. I started uploading again, took some time off for a different reason. I think I started uploading again, took some time off for a different reason, and you know, here I am again. And it's been a journey, but dude, I really feel like mentally I'm just ready for it now. You seem to be in the mindset to return. Things happen when they're meant to. Yeah, appreciate that. Appreciate that. It's definitely a little nerve-wracking sometimes. Sometimes I wake up and I'm like, dude, what am I doing? But just gotta trust the process, you know? Especially the live streaming. The live streaming can be kind of nerve-wracking too, you know? Because like everything's live, you know? No matter what you say, it's being recorded. So, but yeah, man. Yeah, it's good to see you in here. I'm gonna go hop in the shower and get some sleep for the night, but you're natural with it. Appreciate it, dude. Appreciate that. And I feel like as soon as I start talking like as if I'm just talking to a normal person, like that's when I feel like I'm hitting that flow, you know? So I definitely appreciate that. Definitely appreciate that. Thank you, man. Great to see you too. I'm taking a shower right after you. All right, yeah, sounds good, bro. Appreciate you for tuning in. You're a real one. Thank you. There's two people in here. Whoever else is watching, thank you. Thank you for all the likes, everyone. Shout out to you, Mr. Possessive. Appreciate you, dude. Yeah, I'll see you guys in the next stream. All right, have a great night, man. Peace.